Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Holmes from Flourish by Michelle. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I want to talk about something that I think is really timely for a lot of people who may be finding themselves burnt out, stressed, feeling unfulfilled, and that is the connection to our work. Now, this manifests if we are not having a strong connection to our work. We're feeling a lack of fulfillment. We're feeling unfulfilled. And we know that this happens by a couple of symptoms. And for me, what I think of that are pretty clear in a lack of fulfillment, among other things, of course, but going through your work day and getting to the end of it where you feel like you still have so much to do and that today wasn't a great day, if you're having that on repeat, or if you're feeling like, well, today didn't really matter in the grand scheme of what I do, or I'm not contributing in a way that I'm really aligned to with my role, I'm not being used well in my career or at this company, all of that can be an indication that we're not feeling specifically connected and fulfilled by what we do in our work. And I want to give you a couple tips today. So my first tip is something that everyone can do. And this is great because we don't have to uproot our entire life. We don't have to change careers. We don't have to pivot. We don't have to go back to school. All of that, of course, sometimes is in our best interest, but that's a pretty major change. And for the people that I work with, oftentimes they are not in a place where they do want to fully commit to making a major change, so we can make some shifts. And that's something that we can have in a really tangible way and create some action steps around starting today. So with that, I would love to encourage you to begin setting goals. And this, like I said, is something that anyone can do. You don't have to uproot your life, but setting goals could be about your role, but it also could be about how you spend your day, how you feel by the end of your day, action steps that you have taken throughout your day. So maybe your goal isn't just a to-do list, because sometimes the to-do list seems never ending. But maybe it is that we want to check in with ourselves multiple times throughout the day. Maybe it's that we want to go for that walk on our lunch break, or while we're on a phone meeting, we can be walking and talking and creating these goals so that by the end of the day, we have something tangible in front of us that we have been proactive about. We have thought through these things. And of course, this is kind of this communication as we go through our week. We're able to adapt, we're able to change and transition in these goals depending on how the day goes and how the week goes. But we are able to, by the end of the day, have something proactive and intentional in front of us. Maybe you set 1 or 3 goals. 1 to 3 is probably a really great starting point, not to get overwhelmed. But we have this in front of us where we can say, did I do that? Was I able to live up to that? Is that meaningful to me? And what I think this does is by the end of the day, we do have that pause. And I think the pause is really important. So we are able to have the transition from my work day to everything else that happens after the work day. What I have found in working with people is that quite often they go throughout their week and they feel like they can't turn their brain off. They feel like they have too many tabs open that just things that are coming up. They're thinking about work. They're ruminating over something that happened at work. They're thinking about a strained relationship at work, all of these things. And so it's spilling over into their personal life. And of course, that is going to affect how we feel day in and day out. So we want to create that pause. And then it becomes that transition. Like I said, you're stopping at the end of your workday. You're able to have that check-in with yourself. If you are able to be proactive with setting aligned, good, smart goals, you can find the framework for how to set a SMART goal. But if you're able to do that, then by the end of your day, I'm hoping that you're going to be able to say, oh yeah, I got that done. This actually matters. This feels good. I have that extra pep in my step because of what I was able to accomplish today. And sometimes, instead of uprooting our entire life and changing things very dramatically, that gives us the boost that we need to get through, because everyone has a different circumstance and a different situation. We have many people that are caretaking either for elderly parents, grandparents, also young kids as well, working parents. And so we want to be able to take some action today. The other thing I wanted to highlight was that many times what we find is that the organization that someone works for is undergoing different changes in the marketplace. So going through a recession, going through the opposite of a recession where there is so much work and we can't handle it, going through being short-staffed. If there's anything I've learned over the past several years, it's that we can very much be working for organizations that are short-staffed, and staff is getting burnt out because they're taking on the load of multiple people and multiple roles. So what is really great in this circumstance is when we are able to develop and cultivate that connection to the why. And I know this is so important because when I speak to people and they tell me, their hopes and dreams, they tell me their struggles, what they have said, sometimes I have a number of people who have said something along the lines of this: I just want to leave it all behind and I want to go to Costa Rica, or I want to start my own business. I want to do this. I want to run a yoga retreat. They have these big, huge dreams of just giving it all up, leaving their current circumstance. And everyone's journey is so unique and so special to them that, of course, if that's for you, go after it and you will have my backing 100%. But what we find a lot of the times is that that's really the surface level. And when we go deeper, we have that deeper conversation, what we are finding out is actually it's not just that someone wants to leave it all behind, it's that currently they're feeling a level of pain, suffering, threat to their system, and they are kind of escaping in their minds. And that's all fine and dandy, but that's not helpful when it comes to the life and the reality that we are actually rooted in. And so when we do go deeper, we can find what's really going on. What's coming up when you think about the lifestyle that would create for you. And so then we can see that we have two sets of kind of motivating factors for people. So we have the inner drive, the inner value system, the inner why for someone. And then we have some things that are external, that things like, I want to hit this certain income. I want to be motivated. I want to get that nice car. I want to reach this milestone. And those can be incredibly motivating to people. But what we find is that sometimes they have explored that route for their motivation, and they find that, okay, now I feel like I'm just chained by these golden handcuffs. I've been doing that long enough. It's not doing it for me anymore. I've hit that, and now it seems like the success measure just moves. And now I'm going after that, and this is really, I feel like I'm on the hamster wheel. And so I want people to be aligned both internally and externally. And that has a great deal connection to this fulfillment aspect. So we want, if it's, I want to earn $200,000 a year. Okay, that's a goal. What is that going to do for you? What is the deeper meaning behind that? Are you willing day in and day out to meet the demand that may require of you, and kind of dissecting that a little bit further? Because if we just are after that number, and we haven't tied it back to our internal values, then that is going to become stale and stagnant very quickly. So looking at things like our values and like our lifestyle, I think, are very important components. On the same note of lifestyle, many times when we're day in, day out, going through the grind, having this relationship with work that's feeling kind of stressful, not feeling great for us, it kind of becomes the focus of our life. And for a high performer or a high achiever, I can totally identify with this. There have been times where work has become the overarching theme of my life. And what I found was that these other areas of my life were not being tended to properly. And so when we have this focal point, and there's all these demands there's all these stressors there's a lot of threat in that to our system, because we've created our identity around this, and it begins to spill out into these other areas of our life. So I want to leave you with thinking and developing these additional ways to support what we do at work. Like, our performance at work a lot of times comes from things we do outside of work, the majority of the time, right? Things we do outside of work, the way that we manage our body, the way we tend to our mind and our creativity, our performance, our resilience, all of that. We want to be able to tend to the work-life balance, and finding ways to support that, finding ways to improve our communication within our families, or to have this really beautiful opportunity to give back in our free time, or finding ways to feel better physically so we have more energy. Whatever your area of concern is, the things that you are complaining about or the symptoms in your life, we want to make sure that we're tending to those outside of work. Because what will happen is when we grow in those areas, that is also going to be really good opportunity for us to perform better, to be more productive, to be more engaged, and to, when we're happy outside of work, we can be happy at our work as well. And it's not going to take as big of a toll on us and on our mental health. So I think that is really important for people to kind of take a look at as well. So that's all for today. I wanted to just pop in and go over a couple of these. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will talk to you later. Bye.